You're going to die one day and it's not going to be pleasant. Your friends and family members, they're going to die one day and it's not going to be pleasant. You're going to have failure in life, but that is life. To be angry about that means to not love life itself.
When I first started working for Robert Greene, which was now over 15 years ago, I remember I would do all this work. He would have me transcribe interviews, he'd have me read books, he'd send me to go run these errands. I'd get to sort of sit and ask him questions. And then he would always say something like, remember to send me your hours so I could pay you. And I never did. He always had to nag me about it. And the reason he had to nag me about it is that I was getting so much out of the conversations that honestly the money was always secondary. I knew that the real value was getting to ask questions to this person, to be in their presence, to learn from them. And I've been having conversations like that with Robert now for a very long time. And actually, he and I are going to be having 2 conversations on stage in LA and in Seattle on the 19th and 21st of September. But in today's episode, I wanted to bring you some of the best insights that I have gotten from Robert Greene over the years, some from our conversations, some me synthesizing those lessons. But it's one of the unique thinkers of our time, someone whose work you should absolutely be familiar with, who has all sorts of interesting insights about Stoicism. So I hope to see you in September in Los Angeles and Seattle. But if not, here are some lessons from the one and only Robert Greene. I think it's your favorite quote from the Stoics. This is the boxing one.
Yeah.
What is that quote and what does it mean to you?
I'm going to butcher it to hell. It's better if you tell it to me.
So I think Marcus is saying you're like a boxer in the ring. He says when someone gouges you with their nails or butts you with their head, you can't just run away crying or even accuse them of being a cheater. You have to adjust your fighting style accordingly. And he says, you can be wary of them, but you can't get out of the ring.
Right. So it's kind of a metaphor for life. So the idea is that when you enter the world as an adult, the work world, it is like an arena, it is like a boxing match. There's sort of a standard for behavior in a boxing ring. Some people abide by it, some people don't. They hit below the belt, they hug you, they do all kinds of things that you're not supposed to do. And this is like human nature. So Schopenhauer has this quote that if you're walking down the street and you hit your foot against a rock, you don't go get angry at the rock, right? Well, people are rocks in your way sometimes.
Right.
And I don't mean that to depersonalize them. I mean in the sense that they are who they are. They have their own nature, and that nature isn't yours, and it's going to clash with you sometimes. And that is just what it means to be a human being, an adult in the world today.
I remember once I was having a conversation with the great Robert Greene, and he showed me his copy of Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, and he would write in the margins, little AF. AF stood for Amor Fati. Amor Fati actually comes to us from Nietzsche, who was not a particularly big fan of the Stoics, but expressed something, I think, at the core of Stoicism. He said, not just to bear what is necessary or accept it, he says you must love it. Amor Fati, a love of one's fate. It was Robert who made this explicit connection between Stoicism and Amor Fati, which I've popularized in Daily Stoic, in our videos, my books. I have a chapter about it in The Obstacle is the Way. Robert and I even made this coin, which I carry with me everywhere. It says Amor Fati. It has that picture of a fire. Marcus Aurelius, again, remember, is saying that what you throw on top of a fire becomes fuel for the fire. The fire loves what you're throwing in there. So I just love that idea, and I'm so indebted to Robert to helping me see this connection between 2 wildly different philosophical schools of thought, but finding this one area where they converge.
My philosophy has always been you have to make ideas your own. You have to take what somebody teaches and you have to put it into your own experience. It can't just be these dead words that you kind of digest that have no relevance to your daily experience. You have to take them, they have to come to life within you, within your own experience. So you read a passage and, it's not maybe what I'm really going through right now, but you kind of maybe recall some experiences in the past that might be relevant. And then the second day you come upon something that is maybe a little bit closer. And then as you go through it more and more and more, that kind of soaks in, and you see more and more access points to your daily experience. And then it can kind of become something that you internalize.
I'm holding in my hands one of the most controversial books ever published, one of the most shoplifted books of all time, a book that's banned in the federal prison system in the United States of America. Why is it so controversial? Because it talks about a thing that we all crave and want, but also fear. It's a book about power. It's a book about how to get power. And the way to get power is not always pretty. The rules by which power operates are often ugly and scary and dark. But actually, the more intimidated you are by that, the more repulsed you are by Machiavellianism or the dark side of human nature, the more important it is that you read this book, because you are so likely to be a victim of people who do understand these ideas. I'm talking about Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. It sold millions of copies. It's a primer, it's a summary, it's a survey course of all of the brilliant writings on power, the dark, alarming, scary writing on power, and the history of humanity as we struggle to get and protect ourselves from power. It's a book everyone should read and reread. If you haven't read The 48 Laws of Power, you should.
One of the most important chapters in this book is the chapter on attitude and how your attitude towards life affects what happens to you.
That connects to the thing that you and I made together, which is the AMOR FATI coin.
Yes.
Which is the idea of sort of loving everything that happens to you, not resenting it, not fighting against it, not carrying around a grudge or a burden, but sort of embracing it and finding the good in it.
Yeah.
Where does that fit in with our human nature?
Well, it doesn't fit in because it's not natural to us. Our natural frame, our natural starting position is when something bad happens, why me? To feel sort of a grievance. A lot of what I'm talking about in this book is overcoming some of these natural elements in human nature and turning them around and using them for another purpose, another way. And Amor Fati is very powerful in that you train yourself to accept everything that happens. It's like, for Nietzsche it was, this is life. Life involves pain. Life involves adversity. You're going to die one day and it's not going to be pleasant. Your friends and family members, they're going to die one day and it's not going to be pleasant. You're going to have failure in life. People are going to hurt you. But that is life. That's what it is. So to resist that, to be angry about that, means to not love life itself.
3 things I learned from Robert Greene. 1, mastery requires a long apprenticeship, either under a great master or painful trial and error, but to be great at something, it takes a very long time, and the education phase of it is the longest period. Number 2, he told me once when I was thinking of leaving my job in American Apparel that life can be defined by alive time or dead time. Are you learning and getting better, or are you killing time? We have to always be learning and getting better, always focus on how we can use the moment in front of us. The third and the most important lesson is that even if you want to be a good person, even if you want to be nice and friendly and generous, it doesn't change the fact that you have to understand the laws of power. You have to understand how people are acting in the world and the forces that make them do what they do.
Look at things as they are. So you're drinking wine, think of the grapes being crushed. You're having olive oil, think of the olives being crushed. You're walking around in your world and you're kind of sleepwalking.
Yeah.
You're not paying attention to things and you're not really seeing things as they are. Being aware of where things come from, of what they are, of what their true nature is. That's sort of how the children think, because they're constantly curious. They just don't assume that something just came into the world the way it is. They want to know how and they want to know why. So you live in a world where you're surrounded by things that exist that you don't really know where they come from or what makes them so interesting, and you're not paying attention to it. So some people have this idea of the sublime, like you have to do these incredible things. It has to be some amazing experience. You have to climb Mount Everest to have that rush and just look down on the world, or you have to be with Jeff Bezos on Blue Origin. Sure. It's pathetic, it's stupid, it's silly. The sublime is like around you. It's around just looking at your skin, realizing your own body, your own physiology. It's in everything around you is weird and sublime if you look at it a certain way.
I remember I was once talking to the great Robert Greene, and I asked him what one of his favorite passages from Marcus Aurelius' Meditations was. He said it was the one where Marcus Aurelius is talking about, he's looking at this big feast, he says, oh, that's a dead bird. Oh, that's a dead pig. Oh, this wine is rotted grapes. I said, Robert, why did you like that? And he said, that's what I try to do in my writing. I try to deconstruct things, to take away the preconceived notions, to strip them of the mythology that they have. It's actually what Marcus says. He says it's about stripping things of the legend that encrusts them, about seeing them as they actually are. I think that's not only what a philosopher has to do, but I think that's what a great writer like Robert Greene does. When I wrote The Daily Stoic 8 years ago, I had this crazy idea that I would just keep it going. The book was 366 meditations, but I'd write one more every single day and I'd give it away for free as an email. I thought maybe a few people would sign up. Couldn't have even comprehended a future in which 750,000 people would get this email every single day, and would for almost a decade. If you want to get the email, if you want to be part of a community that is the largest group of Stoics ever assembled in human history, I'd love for you to join us. You can sign up and get the email totally for free. No spam. You can unsubscribe whenever you want at dailystoic.com/email.